Welcome back to Factotum Life. Today I'm out in the garage with our 2011 Grand Caravan, and I am going to be doing a little bit of transmission work on our vehicle. What's going on is that we are getting an intermittent issue with the van where the transmission goes into limp mode. There is no stored codes. If I hook up the scan tool with the vehicle still running as the problem has occurred, it has a pending code for a P083B, which is a lower clutch irrationality code. There are no other codes with this code. It's just the standalone code. Pull over, shut the car off, restart it. Everything goes back to normal. The vehicle shifts fine, and the code goes away. So on my research, I have, basically come to the conclusion that when you have that standalone code, you're most likely dealing with some type of an electrical fault, whether that would be the switch not making contact when it should be making contact, or it's staying engaged, or I don't really know. That's kind of what the plan is today. We're going to go in and do a little bit of autopsy work. I've gone ahead and purchased the variable force solenoid. This is more or less for the torque converter. I'm going to go ahead and replace that. It's a $37 part. Replace it because it's fairly accessible. And then there's one other accessible sensor here, and this is the line pressure sensor. We are going to go ahead, we'll replace those. We'll disassemble the solenoid pack and then kind of go from there. Now, it is a little bit of work to get into this front cover, but it's not a horrible amount of work. And why am I not just replacing the solenoid pack at this mileage? That's a good question.
Oh, what fun, what fun. All right, so we moved the coolant overflow out of the way, gave us a little bit more room. Okay, I've got the insulation cover off of the front cover, and I'm going to go ahead now and start unbolting. All right, here we are with our VSS. This isn't very plugged, not at all. All right, now we are taking these bolts out of the solenoid pack. And it's not actually going to loosen the solenoid pack. It's going to allow the front cover to disconnect. All right, this is what we're looking at here. All right. What do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. So okay, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got 2, 4, 5. Okay. 2, 4, 5. And so my understanding is all the solenoids, so the solenoid contactors pop through these 2 holes here. They make contact. They receive basically feedback from these cups. this. So it's over like that. This goes over like. All right, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to clean up the inside of these cups. Oh, it's not good. See if I got any more of those. And these rubbers are still, they're not hard, which that's a good sign. Good sign. Put that right back. Okay, so we're replacing these cups. So my understanding with the theory of this transmission, the 62TE, is that when the computer commands the solenoid to turn on, there needs to be a feedback for the transmission of the computer to understand if that actually occurred. And so if the solenoid turned on, then oil pressure from a different port would come in, basically push up on these cups. And when they do that, that tells the computer that indeed a proper shift occurred. In our case, with the P083B, either the switch stayed on, like these cups, or the switch never turned on. So we're going to go through and clean up, like, these contactors right here are not in great condition. So we're going to do a nice cleanup on that. Unfortunately, I don't have new rubbers for this. I don't know. You can get them through like engine or transmission rebuilders. I didn't do that. Kind of wishing I did. All right, I think what I am going to do is get some alcohol. Okay, one last thing here. So I've got this cover cleaned up. I went ahead and cleaned up our contactors right here. But what I'm going to do here is, so we have a rubber cup, we have the retainer for it, and then this is the contactor. We're just going to clean this up. Like so. Then to kind of keep this all from falling out, got some assembly lube, transmission assembly lube. It can be very thick. And we're just gonna drop it in like so. All right, and what I'm doing here, this is rubbing, well, I shouldn't say rubbing alcohol, it's isopropyl alcohol for like wound repair. And all these spots that are potentially contactor, like electrical contactor, I'm cleaning. We're putting this grease on just so that it all this stuff doesn't fall out when I go to put it back on. All right, cleaned all the contactors. The only thing left that I really want to do here quick, and I cleaned the connections on the solenoids. So I did resistance checks actually through the connector, and at the time we were good. Oh. These are so the plastic doesn't over crush. We're just tightening these torques up. And this is putting the electrical circuit board and guts back onto the shift solenoid. Okay, Rock Auto called this the EPC, the pressure control solenoid. Lists this as the pressure transducer. And how that fits into the theory and operation of this vehicle, I don't really know. There we go. Pressure transducer. All right, we are going back together. Now for the fun part, I'm going to go ahead, everything's back together. We're going to go ahead and clean up the RTV surfaces on the transmission and then on the pan. And I'll get a fresh bead of RTV on it, and I'll have to try to get this into place without destroying everything. That should be fun. All right, the fun part. I'm going to put a bead of sealant This in itself isn't all that technical, but trying to get this back in without rubbing RTV all over everything is a bit of a challenge. So we're going to give it a try. Go in. In. There we go. Oh, I got shit on that. Come on, man.